So we've officially been in the UK for about a month now. And while moving to a new place definitely comes with a lot of different challenges, managing your expenses is probably a very big challenge that most people face and will continue to face as time goes by. So this video today is all about what you can expect to pay in your first month in the UK as soon as you move here, what are the kind of expenses you're looking at, what you should budget for, and what you should keep in mind. Hi guys, this is Ashika, and if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do so. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, my handle is absolutely Ashika. So let's start with the most exciting news. Guess who's here? Hello! Hello! I missed you. And as you can see, she is busy looking outside because there are squirrels in the yard and they've been driving her nuts. There's also a big fat black cat and she doesn't like them, does she now? Hazel? 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 And here is my better behaved dog. Hello? 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 Oh, hello? Hello? Now bear in mind these costs are specific to us, but you could take them as a yardstick for what you can expect when you move here. The first bucket is groceries, which is probably where you're going to make most of your purchases in terms of volume and in terms of value. Most often than not, we prefer to pick up our groceries from either Sainsbury's or Lidl, simply because they are the closest grocery stores to our houses. And they're not grocery stores to be very honest, supermarkets, and they tend to have everything we need. We have been trying to cook most of our meals in-house, so we try and make an effort to get as many groceries as possible so we don't end up ordering in or eating out. Apart from these two, we have also been visiting other supermarkets or grocery stores which are more of spur-of-the-moment purchases. Mostly when you're traveling, when you're going to the train station or when you're traveling to a nearby town, and then you just stop by whatever is close by. For the month until now, we have spent £282 just on groceries. Now the number is larger than what we would have anticipated, but like I said earlier, we're trying to keep as much as we can at home so we don't end up ordering from the outside. But the other thing is we honestly shop for only 3 to 4 days at a stretch, mostly because we've been living out of Airbnbs and we didn't want to have to lug around food and groceries while we moved from one Airbnb to another. So if you have managed to find a place as soon as you move to the UK, you can expect this number to be slightly more inflated than ours. Now coming to actually eating out, it's not like we didn't eat out at all. I've always been a very big fan of eating out, and so has Arijit. So what we definitely wanted to do was try out the local cuisine. So we have had our fair share of restaurants and pubs that we visited, and in most cases they have been meals out of convenience. So if we went to Reading, for instance, we would stop by in a restaurant at Reading and pick up a meal there, or if we went to Harrow or if we went to London, we'd usually eat there if we expected it to get late while coming back. And mostly because of this, we've tried a bunch of Italian places, we've tried some sushi, we've tried some fish and chips. Excellent meals, but slightly heavy on the pocket. So all in all, we have spent about £380 just on eating out in the past 1 month. Now another big chunk comes in terms of transport. Most people tend to take either the train or a bus while traveling either within the town or between towns and London. For most part of it, our costs wouldn't have been so high, but we had to take a couple of cabs, especially while we moved from one Airbnb to another because we had a lot of luggage with us. And most of the cabs were really expensive. The cab from the airport to our first house in London was about £150. The cab from London to Maidenhead when we moved to our first Airbnb in Maidenhead was about £130. So that actually made the bulk of the expenditure as far as transport was concerned. We also traveled quite a bit and sometimes even between towns and between counties because we were looking for a house initially. So the costs did come to a lot more than we had expected initially. And just for 1 month, our transport expenses alone were £570. In our case, another bulk component of the cost came in terms of the Airbnb. The Airbnb rate we set for ourselves was somewhere between 100 and 110, 120 pounds per day, and we were looking at a total of about 40 to 45 days. There were also some early check-ins and some late checkouts because we had to manage between the houses that we were staying in. So just as far as the Airbnbs were concerned, we were looking at about 4,400 pounds. Another small cost, but something you should keep in mind, is the cost for your SIMs, for your mobile SIMs. While we got our SIMs free when we visited the VFS office in Bangalore, what we did have to do was top up because we ran out of data, because when we were traveling, there was a very limited data offered on all of these packs. So the top ups that I did was about £6 for my phone. And finally, the last chunk, and one of the biggest chunks, actually probably the biggest chunk, was in terms of our house. So we finally put in an offer on a house, and the offer just came through today, and we're very excited. But it does make up for a very, very big cost component. So like I mentioned in the previous video, you have to place a holding deposit, a security deposit, and pay your first month's rent up in advance. Another thing to bear in mind is that because we've not moved into our house yet, we've not had to furnish our house. So a huge component of cost is missing because of that. But in case you do manage to find a house before a month is completed, you're going to also have to factor in furnishing your entire house with all of the furniture and the soft furnishings. So please do keep that cost in mind as well. And apart from that, there's also a bunch of other costs that will be coming in terms of utility costs, in terms of council tax, television costs. So that's a different ballgame altogether. Hopefully next week, when I share with you the video on our new house, I will also take you through all the costs you can expect as soon as you move into your first house, and some hacks as well for how you can work around it. So just for the house, for the new house that we're going to be moving to, we've spent until now a total of £3,200. Now, because the cost of a house depends entirely on what kind of house you want, I'm going to take that out of the equation for just a moment now. So if you keep in mind all of your transportation, your grocery costs, your expenditure on food, eating outside, your small petty expenditures, including the little cash that we withdrew. So that value without any house deposits is £5,885 in our case. And if you add in the house deposit, which most of you will do if you do consider moving to the UK, you'll have to book a house, you'll have to pay the security deposit, and you'll have to pay the holding deposit, you'll be looking at a number close to £9,085. That's a lot. Now, these costs are specific to us, and a lot of you might not have some of these components or might have more. Like, for instance, in case you're planning on buying a car, you'll have to factor that in. In case you plan on buying property, in case your child plans to get into school, you'll also have to factor these costs in. So while you are budgeting for your move, do keep these points in mind. So I hope this video has given you a rough idea for how much your expenditure is going to be when you first move to the UK, especially with a family of 3. So that's about it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do so. And if you feel this video has helped you, please give me a like and share it with your friends. And if you haven't followed me on Instagram, my handle is absolutely Ashika. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.